Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are rolling along on the weekend here with playoff game videos for you guys, as promised throughout. This is a 4-game slate here on Saturday, so we will get into each and every one of these here, as well as offer you guys up a player props video. So do make sure you're liked and subscribed to that page. Also want you to head over to thelines.com. Make sure you're using our odds checker there. Make sure you're getting the best lines available as you're shopping them out there against those odds makers rather. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as the 4 we have for today and tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about this slate, honestly. I think we're hitting some game 4s, 1 game 3, and I think we got a pretty good grasp on these series. So,
agreed.
Yeah, we'll try to bring you some winners here. Starting Sixers are minus 2.5 at Toronto there. That totals 213.5. Then we got Mavs plus 5 somehow at Utah after just destroying them in the first game in Utah. Totals at 212 there. Celtics are plus 3 at Brooklyn. That's the 1 game 3. Total only 222.5 as we transition to Brooklyn there. And then finally, Memphis minus 3 at Minnesota after pulling off 2 huge comebacks twice, basically a 20-0 run to down the Timberwolves. That total at 232. So, yeah, starting with the Sixers-Raptors game, this is probably the least confident game to bet on because it's a 3-0 situation, and you never know if somebody's going to lay down. But I think Toronto, that building is still pretty wild, even on a Saturday afternoon. Those Canucks, they get drunk early. I think Toronto is going to win game 4. I think they're going to force this back to Philly. I think it's more about the fact that Philly wouldn't really care if it goes back to Philly. I mean, Joel Embiid hit that shot, celebrated like it was a game 7 winner, just, because it's like, yes, we won the series, basically. Right. And now there's going to be some letdown. They didn't necessarily expect to win that game. They played awful. They had 18 assists and 22 turnovers. And they basically just lucked out. Siakam lost his talent down the stretch. I guess the Monstars got both him and Durant. 2.5. The second half in overtime, 0 points. Fred VanVleet, pretty much no points in that span as well. They both finished with 12. But OG, as we call in player props, coming through with 26. Gary Trent Jr. playing through the illness with 25.
Also called that.
And they combined for 25 down the stretch to keep Toronto in it.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm taking it over in this game with the pace slowing down in Toronto from 88 to 84. Ridiculous, going way under even with overtime. They've now gone under in 9 of their last 12 home games with the Sixers. Still have no answer for Embiid, especially without Scotty Barnes. There's now 3 straight games he's had 31 plus when Barnes is out of the lineup. But the Raptors, solid defense everywhere else. James Harden still not threatening defenses to a huge degree. So I think Toronto can hang in here. Philly, like I said, the letdown factor, 25 and 28 against the spread after a win this season. Only 27 and 31 as favorites. And then after that initial 5-game honeymoon with James Harden, 4 and 11 against the spread as favorites to end the regular season. They got to let up at some point here. And Toronto, if you're going to turn the ball over like that against Toronto, more of those are going to result in a negative the other way. It's stunning that the Raptors weren't able to capitalize with more transition points off that, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And also pretty stunning that Siakam just went completely cold.
Yeah.
I guess the doubles on him let OG go off, but he has some great numbers against Philly all season. They beat him 3 times in the regular season. I just think they'll get 1 game here for pride, at least.
Yeah, well, I'll just give you guys a secret, too. If you think this is going 5, well, I guess, whatever. If you think this is going 5, then you get a little bit a juice here to sort of put some extra juice behind that money line, if you will, in this game, right? Because it's plus 130 for the Raptors to win this game. If you bet the Philly to win this game the series in 5, and essentially bet them to win this game and lose the next one, you get plus 210 on your money on FanDuel. So,
and if you go real bold and say this will go 6 games, plus 1,400. Just saying.
That's a huge jump, right? Just that one game, because you got to figure like Joel Embiid was essentially saying, yes, we won this game in 5 is what he, right? Like it kind of feels like that's what he was saying when he was celebrating after that incredible shot, to your points. I have no desire to bet an over on this game. I wouldn't even be mad at, I think anybody was crazy for betting under 213.5. I mean, this is the type of series we have. This is what Toronto also does at home. And like you said, this series and the shot that Toronto had was predicated on Philly turning the ball over, not getting back in transition on defense, because you have got Joel crashing the offensive boards and you have James Harden who doesn't get back on defense. And so, you expect that to be a huge advantage and a huge sort of net value perspective, portion of the game for the Raptors, especially at home. They kind of got what they needed from Philly at home. They took the commanding lead. But Fred VanVleet's hurt. And we said it before game 2. He came out in game 2 firing. He got them out to like a 13-0 lead or whatever it was, but 15-2. It was some crazy lead for Toronto at the beginning of the game before Philly just came storming back really quickly. And Fred VanVleet didn't have the capacity to maintain that level of play throughout the rest of that game. And he's really too big of an X factor for them, for him not to be able to play that well. They need 30-point games from him, or at least putting up 24 and 9 assists or what have you. But they just need him creating points. And if he's not doing that, especially with Scotty Barnes not in there, we said it when Scotty Barnes went down, there was no way for them to keep pace with Philly once they lost that level of an offensive weapon.
Yeah, and Scotty's still doubtful to play in this one. I mean, he's got a long career ahead of him. I don't think they're going to push anything unless they are able to force game 5 or maybe 6. I just want to bring up again the huge discrepancy in odds at FanDuel, where for Toronto to cover or to force a game 6 is plus 730, but for this series to go 6 is plus 1400, which makes absolutely no sense because there's no way it can happen
right
with the Sixers forcing 6. But I mean, that you're going out on a big limb if you think Toronto will win that game and win in Philly. Although they did, kind of shut down that Sixers offense in a regular season meeting, the shine coming off a little bit with the Harden thing in this series as it did in the regular season. And I mean, you see it follow nothing more than the turnovers from 3 in game 1 to 22 in game 3. I'm not really willing to bank on a team winning when they commit more turnovers than assists. Yeah.